Well, I guess I'm live already. I just went live. I just went live. Welcome, 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 everybody. Everybody, and everybody. Thanks for swinging by, stopping in, hanging out. Got a lot of good stuff to cover tonight. I'm going to give my software just a chance to push across to all of my other pages. Cool thing about it is I've got like two softwares running. One I set up to broadcast to 5 different channels at one time. So I've got a couple of pages set up. I've got a couple of YouTube channels and then Periscope on Twitter. And then I've got a sub software that when it pushes those, it pushes out actually to multiple channels, sends out to my email list, and sends a text message. So very, very cool opportunity there to get in front of a lot of people and tell people that I'm going live across multiple channels, which is very, very neat because I've been getting quite a few. The cool thing about it is I've been getting quite a few very good responses coming back from YouTube, and I'm not really doing anything on YouTube in terms of doing what I'm supposed to do in terms of putting descriptions on there and tags and things like that. I'm just broadcasting. So what I will be doing, I think I spelled that right. Okay. Give me 1 second here. I'm just updating. I spelled that completely wrong. There we go.
And I put it on one of the yellow shirts.
Actually, that would be cool. Now, could you?
Do the words black.
Could you do it black and red in the colors?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if you can do, I can do the yellow shirt and then do like the
red,
the red and the black. Yeah,
okay.
That'll look really cool. Do it the same color combination as the other yellow shirt, so that.
Okay.
I don't remember which. I don't know if the red was in the back, and the black was in the front, or was vice versa.
Black was in the front.
Was it? Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. I'm just doing a no more empty refrigerators deal for those of you that don't know what that is. There it is right there. No more empty refrigerators. So again, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Forrest Knight out here in St. Louis. I'm a social media marketing strategist. I work with sales professionals and entrepreneurs to provide tools and training to generate leads, grow their business using social media, digital marketing, and effective follow-up and retention systems to earn a passive lifetime residual income on a mission to create no more empty refrigerators, as you can see here. So really quick, for those of you that want to, again, if you're an iBoomerang rep, you're disqualified, so please don't do this. But for everybody else that would like to be entered in to win $50, every Sunday after my live, I'm going to draw names out of a hat. Basically what I do is I put everybody's name on this cool spinny wheel thing on the internet, and I hit spin, and it spins around, and it's going to pick somebody's name out to win $50. Jennifer Gonzalez won this last Sunday. I cashed after $50. So if you know somebody that could use $50, if you could use $50, all you've got to do is go to this website right here, click on the link, fill out the form, hit submit. It's going to drop it into my little bucket. You'll be added to the list. You'll be off and running, and there's a double benefit there. You'll be entered in the chance to win $50. You'll also have an opportunity to save a bunch of money on hotels and travel and rental cars and any kind of vacation, because I know a lot of people are going to be ready to go on a trip. So if you'd like to save up to 55% on some upcoming vacations and travel, this is the link where to make that happen, and you'll also be entered in to win $50. So get a chance to do that. Let's jump on that. So tonight, what I wanted to talk about was some mindset stuff a little bit, some mindset shift stuff a little bit. At any time that you guys feel that you have questions about anything that I'm talking about or that I cover that doesn't make sense, feel free just to reach out. You won't hurt my feelings. Yeah, Wheel of Fortune is sort of like that. Yes, absolutely. Sort of like Wheel of Fortune. Makes sense. Let me turn that down. Just reach out. You won't hurt my feelings. Let me turn that down there and get my comments back up. Hopefully that won't fall in my coffee cup. Let me do this. Give me a second. I'm just sort of unorganized tonight right now. It's just been one of those weird days. Do you say your name? Is it Lisa or Leisha? L-E-I, Leisha? Leisha? L-E-I? Because trying to think how you say that in Hawaiian. It's Lisa. Anyway, maybe you can throw it phonetically down in the comments. That would be cool. So anyway, so really appreciate you guys for swinging by. So we're going to talk about some mindset stuff tonight. Very, very neat. It's not about you. We're going to talk about 3 tips of attraction marketing. And one thing that Lisa, okay, she just pronounces it Lisa. Okay, Lisa, Mona Lisa. Okay, gotcha. I'm on track. Catching up. Lisa, gotcha. Cool name. So, talking about attraction marketing, I heard this really cool thing, and it's so cool when some people are just honest with you. They just come out, they're not worried about hurting your feelings. So one of the things that I do when I'm reaching out to people is that I give them permission to say no. And that's a very, very important part of the whole prospecting thing, is when you're cold prospecting, even when you're reaching out to your friends and family. Sometimes your friends and family, sometimes they can be brutal. Sometimes they're afraid to hurt your feelings. And one thing that I do is, like, even on my regular daytime job, I give permission for people to say no. And one of those things is I use my hands a lot. I'll talk with my hands, and I'll say blah 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 blah. If this is something that you think, I actually do the more positive. I say, you can see the value in this, right? And I know this is something that you can definitely see the value in. However, it's your money, it's your investment. If you don't want to spend it, that's absolutely okay. No big deal. You won't hurt my feelings, right? I give them permission to say no without feeling awkwardy and trying to come up with some kind of crazy excuse about, I need to check with my husband, my dog, my wife, might got to consult the Ouija board, right? I tell them that I'm saying it's great value, right? They agree. It's a great value for what you just saw. It's it can add absolute cool value, correct? However, it's your money. It's your money, and it's absolutely okay if you don't want to spend it right now. I get it, because you've already spent a lot of money. So if you don't want to spend any additional money, absolutely okay. You won't hurt my feelings if you say no. But I just want to let you know that it's up to you. It's your money, it's your investment, it's your time, so it's up to you. So I give them that. Hey, Billy Strausser, thanks for swinging by. So I give them permission to say no. So when we're out there, we're marketing. Awesome. Thanks, Billy. The Ouija board. Yeah, let's consult that sometime. So the cool thing about it, I was talking to this gentleman who was actually in the car business, and I said, I presented him with the opportunity. He says, and it was the most honest answer that I've ever seen coming from anybody. He said to me, he says, you know what, man, it's too much work. That network marketing stuff just takes too much work, and I would rather just come to work, do a 9 to 5, get paid, and not have to do any extra. And what that did to me, it really taught me that as I'm reaching out to people and I'm going through the process of prospecting, and I'm knocking on their door and I'm asking if they're open to looking. I'm not asking them if they're open to joining a business. I'm not asking them if they're open to spending some money. I'm just asking them if they're open to taking a look at an opportunity to make some money on a side hustle, so that they can use their own eyeballs and ears to get some information to see if they want to move to the next step. And it's not even to get the information to make a decision to buy. It's just simply to make a decision if they want to move to the next step in the process, right? If they want to move to the next step in the process, which should be to get more information so that they're clear. Because the last thing that I want to do is I want to have somebody jump in head first into a shallow pool, right? Because that ends up not ever in a good position. So I want to give them information, but I also want to give them permission to say no. Now, here's what I realized when this sales guy says to me, he was honest with me, because not everybody, it's just like it's the lottery mentality, right? People want the results, but they don't want to do the work, right? They want to take the shortcut. They would love $10,000 a month, but they really truly know that they don't have the hustle and grind that it's going to take to get there. And that's the cool, honest thing about it. So no matter how simple a system can be, one of the cool things I was listening to today was Jennifer was talking about a training, and she was talking about the struggle and the commitment to the struggle which was really neat because some people don't want to go through the struggle. Some people don't want to go. They're content. They're cool with showing up at 9 o'clock and going home at 5 o'clock, having their lunch break from 1 to 2, and they're okay with that. They don't want to color outside the lines. It's like being in a relationship that's okay. They're like in an okay relationship. They know what to expect. They know that the kiss is going to be okay, the dinner's going to be okay, the loving's going to be okay, and they're afraid that if they leave that relationship, it could get worse. Or sometimes they don't want to focus on a better relationship because they don't want to work that hard, right? They don't want to take the extra mile. So the cool thing about giving people an opportunity to opt out up front, lets them off the hook so they're not feeling all awkward. So when you say, hey, I've got this opportunity for you to look at, don't know if it's going to be a fit for you or not, but if you're open, taking a look at it, see if it's going to be something that's going to work for you or not, take a look at the information. And if it's something that you would like to move forward with, we'll take you to the next step and we can move them through the process. Now, you don't have to say all that. Your first goal is just to see if they're open to taking a look, because you don't want to presume the position, right? You want to ask them, hey, just curious, I've got a little side hustle I'm working on. Makes me a nice little income. Just curious if you might be able to take a look at what I'm doing, see if it might be a fit for you or not. If you are, cool. If not, no big deal. You won't hurt my feelings. And sometimes if there's somebody that's really close to me, I'll say, hey, it's okay. It's not a big deal. You won't hurt my feelings. Matter of fact, Norm Rich, who just jumped on here, he's really good at that phrase of, hey, it's your money, it's your investment, you know, and he's really good at sort of giving it and taking it away and giving them permission to say no if they sort of object to not moving forward. He sort of puts it back on them so they know that right where the position is. So if they do opt out, that he's done his job in doing a presentation and giving them all the information so that they can make an educated decision, and they're the ones making the decision to move forward or not. Although all you're doing is setting them up with the opportunity to make that decision. You're giving them the information. They're going to look at it. Now, part two to this is we need to realize as marketers, not everybody's going to want what we have. We may be really excited about our XYZ PDQ widget. We may think it's the coolest thing since sliced bread. You can give them the information, you can get to it, but some people may not just be interested. For example, I have zero interest in anything CBD oil. I have no interest in it. I have no interest in Bitcoin, none. You can walk up and hand me $1 million Bitcoin check and I'd probably give it back to you. In all honesty, might be the dumbest thing I ever did, but I have no interest in stuff like that. So to realize you could come with me to all the benefits in the world, but if I'm just not into it, you're not going to sell me on it. However, you would be doing me a disservice not to give me the opportunity to make the decision for myself whether or not I want to move forward to the next position. At least give me the opportunity to tell you no, right? Give me the opportunity to look at the information and evaluate and say, okay, this is something I want to do or not. If I just send you a link out of the blind, you don't even know if I'm looking for something or not. So the first position that we need to be in right now, the first position that we need to be in as marketers is if we got to put ourselves in a position to realize I don't care how they respond. I don't care. Now, that sounds a little coy, that sounds a little crass, but the way I care about this, and when I say I don't care, what I simply mean is I'm not going to let their answer affect me emotionally. So what does that mean? If they say no, I'm like, okay, I ask for a referral and I move on. If they say yes, I say great, take the next step and move on. If I get a neutral from them, I say cool, I take the next step and move on. So I'm not doing this whole emotional entrepreneur roller coaster where it's a great day. Now, all day today, I felt a little edgy. I don't know what it was. I don't know if the moon was up, but it was like, I don't know if it was a full moon, if it was the weather or what, but I was feeling a little edgy. I was just like, yeah, if I was a gunslinger, I might be out just, pulling my gun to see how fast I can draw, because I was feeling a little bit edgy because I just got a lot of good stuff going on. I've got a lot of stuff happening in my life. I've got a lot of cool things going on. I've been really blessed to have a cool position on my job. And the cool thing about that is I use the same type of attitude. I show up, I present the information, I go through the steps, nice conversation, I make people feel comfortable, and I present them with the options one way or another. And then on the backside of that, I have a really cool follow-up system. And as a result of the follow-up system that I use, I'm getting some after the sale, after the presentation sales, because I'm not putting high pressure on people, but I'm giving them enough information that if they need to download it, they can think about it and they can come back later and make a decision because I followed up with them like I promised. I'm staying in their face like I promised. So if something does happen, they go, okay, yeah, now I need to do that. So I actually had several sales over the last week from people that I did a presentation to a week and a half ago, which is pretty neat. Some of them, actually one guy was 2 months ago. So it all comes back with follow-up. So there's a process in everything that we do. We can't just throw stuff out there. I've got 200 and some people on my list right now that I need to follow up with from my business here, my home business. I'm going to follow up with. So in terms of reaching out to people, following up, because they may say they're interested right now. They might be interested. So when we reach out to them, so I know I said, what was my title? So 3 tips to attraction marketing. So the first tip in attraction marketing is understanding where you're at, understanding your position and your posture. So that's the number one thing that you need to understand as a tip to attraction marketing. To make you attractive, you got to be a light of attraction versus promotion. They've got to understand, and you do that by being postured. And being postured, it really doesn't matter what they say. Now, one of the things that I'm really good at, and you can ask people, is I can take people's objections and sort of turn them around on themselves. In other words, I like to basically just feed back to somebody exactly what they just said to me. So they throw me out an objection. I'll pause for just a second. I'll think about what they just said, and I'll feed it back to them. And sometimes that takes a little bit of practice. But if you take their exact words and you feed it back to them, you can do a very, very good, effective deal. So I'll read this to you here because I thought it was very interesting. I actually took a screenshot. There we go. What's a screenshot it? Yeah, I screenshotted it. So one of the replies, this was actually in the group, so I thought it was very neat. So this is an example of feeding back to somebody what they say in terms of so they hear it. Now, of course, this is all in text, but if you feed it back to them the right way, a lot of times they're going to hear what they just said to you, and they'll realize sometimes people say stuff to try to get you triggered, to try to trigger you, try to poke you. And if you can posture yourself, this is one good position. So they put in there, sorry. So the person had reached out to them with a, hey, I wonder if you might be open to taking a lot of it off. The person replied back, sorry, but we do not ever sell MLM brand products. I use locally made as well as from my own labs. I'm like, okay, smart aleck. Here's my reply. Absolutely awesome. You've been blessed with the skill and the resources to build your lab and brand. So I'm feeding back to them. If you know anyone who does not have those resources and is open to looking at making some money on the side, I'd appreciate a referral. Best of luck to you with your best of luck with your lab. So basically what I did was I took their words and turned them right around on them. And they probably, if they're understand my posture, you understand the tone that I just sent that in? That's the same tone that I heard it. That's what now they can't hear my tone because I wrote it. But I was like, yeah, absolutely awesome. Yeah, you've been blessed with a skill and resources to build your lab and brand. See, that's my brain. That's how I hear myself talking to them. It gives me the opportunity to feed them back, to sort of put them in check a little bit so they realize that what they just said to me was absolutely ludicrous. Like, yeah, I've got my own secret lab with a bat cave and bat cars, and I've got a top secret computer to do whatever I want to, and I'm a crime-fighting lab cosmetologist, right? That's the stuff that goes on in my brain when I hear ridiculous responses like, oh yeah, it's one of those pyramid things. Yeah, sometimes you just ignore stuff. So one of the things I learned in sales was sometimes is one of the ways to get past an objection is just to completely ignore it, like they never said it. It was like the Charlie Brown, like they were like, wah, 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 wah. That's what they sound like. So when you get really good at the feedback like that, it can really truly help in understanding how to respond back to somebody when they just come with a bunch of line of like hoopla crazy mess. So number one tip, be postured in your response and understand. Take a pause sometimes and read it and think about, do you get that funny little voice in your set? And you can be a little bit smart aleck, but you don't want to start a fight with them. If you go back in combative mode and say, well, it's not one of those pyramid things, or So when you feed it back to them in a way that makes them hear what they just said to you. Did that with my wife. She had a lady that came guns a-blazing at her. We turned her own words around her. She ended up enrolling as a customer. And my wife's like, how did that happen? It's about, I call it word kung fu or wordsmithing, but you can do that in any time of conversation. So one is you need to make sure you're postured. Number two is you need to understand the position of, number two is you need to understand you need to know what the next step is. So when somebody says, when you're asking them if they're open to looking at the information, that's all you're doing. You're asking them to take a look at the information so that they can decide whether or not they want to move forward or not. And in that process, you're also giving them permission to let themselves off the hook, so you don't have one of those awkward conversations. You never say, what do you think? Right? Let's just take those whatever you think and just throw them out the window. Just don't ever ask them, so what did you think? It's people. If people knew what to think, they would, it would be prospecting you, right? So never ask that question. So you give them permission to opt out. Say, hey, it's absolutely okay if you decide not to move forward with this. You won't hurt my feelings. However you want to say that, just put it in your own words. If it's somebody that's a real close family friend, I always say, hey, you won't hurt my feelings if you say no. And they go, whew, thank you, Jesus, because Auntie, Uncle Forrest, they just don't know. I couldn't tell my niece no. It would hurt her feelings. If my niece came and asked me to buy something, I'd probably just buy it from her anyway, just because I wanted to support her business. But in the position of posturing and saying what we need to say. So number one is you need to understand having posture. Number two, you need to understand your position. And number three, the most important thing is understanding what to do next. Understanding that if they say no, where do you move? Do you ask for referrals? Do you ask for a product? What do you do next? If they do watch the video and they watch the information and you come back to them and you say, so what'd you like most about what you saw? And they're going to say blah, 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 blah. And depending on what they say, if they say, hey, I really like the part about making money, or I really like the part about about the products, then you can say, okay, based on the products, maybe you can send them more information on the products. Maybe send them a product catalog, because maybe it's just a real short snippet on the product. So what did you like most about the products? Well, I'm more interested in so-and-so products. Great. What I'd like to do is I'm going to send you a product catalog that you can go through, and maybe a product checklist or whatever it is. You can send a little video presentation on our products, or whatever your product is, you send it to them. Or maybe you could do a Zoom with them and walk them through a product catalog and say, okay, here's this product and it does that. So you need to understand what your next step is, and you'll know that. That's up to you to decide, because you're the business owner. So if somebody says, I like the XYZ, maybe I like the eyeliner makeup, great. You got 2 minutes, we'll get on a Zoom real quick and I'll do a shared Zoom with you. And we'll walk through and we'll look at all the different colors of makeups and things like that. And while you've got them right there, you could actually place their order with them. Say, great, this liner does that, this liner does that. And if you buy 2, you get 1 free. Or however your process. Or maybe they decide they want to go in the business side and say, hey, yeah, I'm really interested in making money. Well, great, tonight we've got a team presentation at 7 p.m. Central. Are you going to be available to plug into that? Because I want to make sure that you get all the information necessary to make an educated decision to move forward. Or depending on what you do, you might have a lifeline that you call maybe a team leader, and you get them on the phone and say, hey, I usually don't like to do a lifeline till actually they're enrolled, because what I don't want to do is I don't want somebody to think that they have to do the whole three-way call with somebody, because I personally don't want to spend my day doing 15 three-way calls. That's not an idea of fun for me. If somebody's coming in, I don't mind setting them up, getting to know them once they're in the business and plugging them in, and maybe being a mentor to get them moving, get them on a fast start. But the last thing I want to do is do a three-way call to convince somebody to join the business. That's just not my idea of moving forward. Now, if they watched the presentation and they've been to a team call and the only thing that they're doing on is waiting on money, I might call, somebody that has maybe something similar to them. If I'm talking to a female who's maybe a beautician or in that type of field, I may, align them with my team lead, Carly, who's in the same deal, and say, hey, hold on, and I might send her a text message and just get them to build a rapport relationship, because they're going to be able to talk all that girl stuff. I'm not going to have a freaking idea about any of that stuff other than I'll watch it. So you got to understand what your next position is. Where do you move if somebody does this? And you might have to map it out. You might have to get some direction from a team lead that says, if somebody says this, what do I do? And then you write it down so you know if somebody says that, you move them to this position. If somebody goes here, you know you move them to that position. So those are the 3 steps. So number 1 is you need to understand your position and be postured. You need to understand where you're going. Number 2, you need to give them opportunities to opt out. And number 3, you need to understand what your position is next. So very, very important that you do those. So this is Forrest out in St. Louis. I love you. Jesus loves you. There's absolutely nothing to do about it. I'm on a mission to create no more empty refrigerators. Go out and make an extreme impact. Peace out. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.